Driving fast, moving past the sunrise.
Welcome back to the LFS Report. My name is Ronald, and today we take a look at the second round of Cityliga Season 23. We took the GT2s on Westhill International for a 2-hour time-limited race with 2 mandatory pit stops. Let's jump right into it with Grid 2. There was no qualifying before the race. The grid was in the order of the grid qualifying times for this combo, so we see Mickey D on pole, followed by Blackie and Tolle and Mikiewicz on 4th. And here they go, the 24 drivers of Grid 2, and we already see the FXR was the car of choice for most of the drivers in Grid 2. Mikiewicz with a great start, immediately passing Holle in the FZR. Blackie with a wide line into turn 1, which gave Mikiewicz the opportunity on the inside, which he easily takes. In the back of the wheel there's some trouble in the turn entry. And now towards the next choke point, the fast chicane. No problem for the front of the field, but in the back El Bobo got crushed into the wall, very unlucky. Entering the next long straight, the back straight, there was a good opportunity for the next attack, but the field was already stretched out quite far. It took Mikiewicz only until beginning of lap 3 to start the attack for the lead. Out of Mickey D's draft, he went for the outside for turn 1 and took over the lead easily. Especially in the beginning, where everyone was still close together, we saw some interesting fights. Here Joko used the mistake by Airwolf to get next to him on the back straight and passes him towards the double chicane for position 11. The 2 mandatory pit stops in the race had an additional condition. You were not allowed to refuel and change tires in the same stop, so most drivers decided to make their pit stops back to back during the half of the race. Most of the drivers also decided to do their tire change before the refueling, since driving a refilled car on old tires is really awkward. Mikiewicz in the lead did this as well and didn't even lose the lead once during his stops. And after everyone done their pit stops, the fighting continued. Here Joker went for the outside into the fast chicane against Lutard and managed to get to position 6 in a nice maneuver. A couple of laps later, Klaus Adam also got past Lutard after a mistake. But Klaus Adam wasn't happy for too long. Towards the end of the race, tire wear became an issue for many drivers. Klaus Adam fell victim to a puncture in his front left at the beginning of lap 61, his second last lap. In the same lap, Lutard also had some issues, but not with his tires, but with his gearbox. He managed to get from 3rd gear into 1st, and thereby absolutely killing his engine. He was lacking 20 km/h on top speed after this, but managed to gain another position due to Klaus Adam's puncture. The tires even nearly decided to fight for position 3 between Blackie and Frank. Frank with the puncture in his last lap. But also Blackie had a puncture in this lap. He even went into the pits to change it. And since he stops before the finish line in the pit lane, he got lapped on the last meter by Mikiewicz, which finished his race on the left. So Blackie finished his race in the pit lane. Mikiewicz with an absolutely dominating performance, lapping nearly the whole field except for Mickey T on 2nd. On 3rd, as we saw, Blackie in front of Frank, then Nismo as the best FZR, followed by Joker and the engine killer Lutard. In grid 1 we saw Kubinji on pole, followed by Pozzi, Kovac and Pete, all in FZR, reigning champion Winkler on position 6 with the first FXR, and here they go, the 24 grid 1 drivers into their 2 hours, which were also 63 laps in the end. Into turn 1, Kubinji defends his lead, but Pozzi had to fight off Kovac. Everything went fine, but in the back of the field one of the only XRRs got turned on the exit, causing a bigger incident. Into the fast chicane, Kubinji already with a small gap, and Kovac retreated from his attack on Pozzi. And now on to the back straight. Kubinji and Pozzi were safe, but Kovac got under fire by Pete, and also Winkler was already close to them behind. Into the double chicane, Pete and Kovac had a rough fight, and in the exit they thereby opened a gap on the inside for Winkler to slip through. Out of the chicane, everyone stick close together, but for the uphill right-hander, Shippy in the pink FXR turned on the grass entering, and I closely avoided him, but the drivers in the back crashed into this mess nearly unrestrained, which leads to a flip by Shippy, who had to restart his race. Pozzi had some problems in staying close to the lead, and so Mowai attacked him in lap 13 into the double chicane, but Mowai gets on the grass and couldn't control his FZR anymore, crashing slightly into Pozzi. But Mowai, the fair racing gentleman he is, let Pozzi pass again. On the following stock finish straight, he got the draft of Pozzi again and attacked him on the outside for turn 1. This time everything went fine and clean, and he took over position 5 from Pozzi. After the start crash you saw, I also fought my way back to the front, and before the pit stop phase began I managed to get past Asko, similar to Mowai. Asko made some mistakes prior to this pass. Similar to grid 2, in the half of the race nearly every driver went for his pit stops, also back to back, so it got pretty busy in the pit lane, as you can see. Of the leading group, Kubinji, Pete, Pozzi and Kovac went for pretty much exactly half time for their stops. Winkler and Schilter decided to stay out for 1 or 2 laps more. But staying out longer was risky if you were too harsh on your tires, as we can see here with Simon. He had a puncture only 2 turns before the pit line, and consequently also quite a hard impact into the barrier. The FXR had a slight advantage against the FZR. The time to change all 4 tires was the same, but since the FZR burned more fuel, he also had to refuel more, as we can see here with the refuel pit stop comparison of Winkler and Kubinji. When Winkler left the pit lane after his last stop, he was in front of Kubinji. Schilter, laying on P3, went for his second pit stop in lap 34, but forgot to turn off tire change. He realized that this wouldn't count as a mandatory pit stop, and so he tilted and rage quitted, like we have already seen him in the past. And another not so happy pit stop story of the race by my good friend and teammate Blom. He went for a second pit stop right in front of me, but missed the actual pit spot, so he went for the next, but missed again and again and again. Before he finally got his pit spot, he also rammed Simon by trying to pass him into the fast lane. Very unlucky and hard to watch. Towards the end of the race, there were still some nice fights like here between Asko and Simon. Simon went for the inside into the fast chicane and passed Asko nice and clean. And now the great final lap for this race. Kobinci finally closed up to Winkler at the beginning of the last lap. He was in a draft of him. Winkler tried to defend on the inside, but as soon as the pit wall ended, Kobinci used the pit exit to get next to him and passed him, but Winkler went for the switchback and pushed himself on the inside of Kobinci. There was also quite some contact. But Kobinci stayed ahead, and Winkler tried to stay close to use his last chance at the right-hander before the back straight, since this is the point where the FXR got an advantage. He tried everything, but went wide into the gravel, which meant the victory for Kobinci in an epic final lap and race. As we saw Kobinci in front of Winkler, then Kovac and Morvai also quite close. On 5th, Pete, followed by Bozzi, who probably ruined a better result by his R3 tire choice. Sam, Fieseler, Spencer and Shaka completing the top 10. Let's take a quick look into the standings. Winkler after his victory in the first race and now a second place in the lead, followed by Kobinci only 4 points behind. Kovac and Pete switching position, but also still close, as well as Morvai, Bozzi and Sam. In grid 2, Frank still in front, followed by Blackie and Nismo. All of them have a good chance to get promoted after the next round. The winner of this race, Mikovic, only on P14 since he missed the first race, but with also a good result in the next race, he could also be promoted. Team ranking stays quite static with Core Sim Racing in the lead, followed by TC Racing 1 and Heroes of Racing. Alright, this was the LFS report of round 2 in Cityliga season 23. I hope you liked it, and if so, consider giving me a thumbs up or even a comment. Until next time with one of my favorite cars, the BF1 in Kyoto Grand Prix. Bye.